CompTIA Cloud Plus Certification Exam Cloud Automation Review. Question 1. Engineers reviewing Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform describe the intended behavior as follows. A managed application platform abstracts the runtime and underlying host maintenance so developers can concentrate on code and data. Which cloud model does this description identify? Option A, multi-cloud. Option B, platform as a service. Option C, software as a service. Option D, private cloud. The correct answer is option B, platform as a service. The described behavior supports the requirement to deploy application code without maintaining operating systems or middleware. The choice is appropriate for Frontier Labs because it acts on the requirement identified in the scenario, not merely on a related concern. The nearby alternatives are less suitable because self-managed virtual machines would add patching and runtime administration. Question 2. Prior to expanding Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, administrators must eliminate avoidable single points of failure within the service design. Which architecture pattern should they use? Option A, vertical scaling. Option B, fault tolerance. Option C, cloud bursting. Option D, high availability. The correct answer is option D, high availability. Redundant components and automatic failover reduce interruption from individual component failures. The proposed use aligns with the workload constraint and supports a defensible vendor-neutral cloud decision. By contrast, a single instance design would not meet the uptime requirement. Question 3. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, the team must replace deployed instances instead of changing them in place. It also wants to avoid a design where manual and place changes would make instances diverge over time. Which compute architecture offers the most appropriate balance? Option A, virtual machines. Option B, immutable infrastructure. Option C, microservices architecture. Option D, a container orchestration. The correct answer is option B, immutable infrastructure. Rebuilding from a controlled image creates consistent environments and reduces configuration drift. The scenario calls for this capability because the laboratory data platform depends on the specified behavior rather than a general cloud feature. The decision depends on the stated constraint rather than on selecting the most broadly familiar cloud technology. Stressed about your CompTIA exam? We can take CompTIA exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 4. The current proposal for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform has a drawback: independent block volumes would not provide a common namespace. The team still needs to share hierarchical files through standard network file protocols. Which data-service choice should replace the proposal? Option A, archive storage. Option B, content delivery network. Option C, NoSQL database. Option D, file storage. The correct answer is option D, file storage. A managed shared file system supports concurrent directory-based access by multiple clients. The proposed use aligns with the workload constraint and supports a defensible vendor-neutral cloud decision. The distractors are legitimate cloud techniques, but they address different requirements from the one being tested. Question 5. Engineers reviewing Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform describe the intended behavior as follows. An internal subnet limits exposure while allowing controlled outbound or service-to service communication. Which network architecture does this description identify? Option A, network peering. Option B, virtual private network. Option C, network address translation gateway. Option D, private subnet. The correct answer is option D, private subnet. The described behavior supports the requirement to isolate internal resources from direct inbound internet routing. The scenario calls for this capability because the laboratory data platform depends on the specified behavior rather than a general cloud feature. A different choice would be weaker because assigning direct public reachability would increase the attack surface. Question 6. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, the team must recover data from protected copies after loss or corruption. It also wants to avoid a design where relying only on live production data would not protect against deletion or corruption. Which recovery design offers the most appropriate balance? Option A, backup and restore. Option B, pilot light. Option C, multi-region deployment. Option D, hot standby. The correct answer is option A, backup and restore. Independent copies provide a recovery point, although restoration time depends on data volume and process maturity. This approach gives frontier labs the required behavior while keeping the implementation aligned with the workload's actual demand. The distractors are legitimate cloud techniques, but they address different requirements from the one being tested. Question 7. For its laboratory data platform, Frontier Labs wants to rank services by operational impact and recovery need. Which planning decision is most appropriate? Option A, business impact analysis. Option B, resource tagging strategy. Option C, dependency mapping. Option D, proof of concept. The correct answer is option A, business impact analysis. Impact analysis connects technical recovery priorities to financial, safety, and service consequences. The scenario calls for this capability because the laboratory data platform depends on the specified behavior rather than a general cloud feature. A different choice would be weaker because treating every workload equally would misallocate resilience spending. Question 8. The current proposal for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform has a drawback: manual post-provisioning work would slow scale-out and create variation. The team still needs to configure a newly created instance during its first startup. Which provisioning practice should replace the proposal? Option A, idempotent automation. Option B, bootstrap script. Option C, modular infrastructure code. Option D, golden image. The correct answer is option B, bootstrap script. Initialization automation installs packages and applies settings without maintaining a unique image for every small change. The design decision fits the laboratory data platform because it targets the exact availability, security, deployment, or operational need described. The alternatives solve adjacent design or operational problems instead of the specific issue identified here. Are you looking for CompTIA exam actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access CompTIA exam study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get CompTIA exam answer key today. Question 9. Before the next production change to Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, the team must make limited changes to use managed cloud capabilities. Which migration approach should be prioritized? Option A, refactor. Option B, phased migration. Option C, replatform. Option D, retain. The correct answer is option C, replatform. Targeted platform improvements gain operational benefits without a complete application redesign. In this scenario, the capability addresses the immediate design objective and avoids solving a different problem. A different choice would be weaker because moving unchanged would miss straightforward managed minus service advantages. Question 10. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, the team must verify essential functions immediately after deployment. It also wants to avoid a design where waiting for user complaints would delay detection of a broken release. Which release practice offers the most appropriate balance? Option A, smoke test. Option B, rollback plan. Option C, canary deployment. Option D, performance test. The correct answer is option A, smoke test. A focused post-release check quickly confirms that critical paths are available before broader validation. For the laboratory data platform, the governing factor is the requested behavior, and this approach provides it directly. The alternatives solve adjacent design or operational problems instead of the specific issue identified here. Question 11. Frontier Labs is designing its laboratory data platform. A key requirement is to automatically transition or delete stored objects according to age. Which configuration choice provides the closest fit? Option A, security group. Option B, a separate production account. Option C, managed identity. Option D, lifecycle policy. The correct answer is option D, lifecycle policy. Policy-driven data movement reduces cost and enforces retention without manual handling. The requirement is satisfied by matching the cloud capability to the laboratory data platform's stated operating condition. Conversely, keeping every object indefinitely in one tier would ignore lifecycle requirements. Question 12. Engineers reviewing Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform describe the intended behavior as follows: trace context exposes latency and failure across service boundaries in a microservices workflow. Which observability method does this description identify? Option A, synthetic monitoring. Option B, distributed tracing. Option C, baseline analysis. Option D, health check. The correct answer is option B, distributed tracing. The described behavior supports the requirement to follow one request across multiple services. For the laboratory data platform, the governing factor is the requested behavior, and this approach provides it directly. The main risk of choosing a different approach is that host-level metrics cannot show the complete path of a single request. Question 13. During release planning for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, engineers are instructed to build business units directly for their measured cloud consumption. Which optimization action should be implemented? Option A, reserved capacity. Option B, right-sizing. Option C, showback. Option D, chargeback. The correct answer is option D, chargeback. Direct allocation creates financial accountability and can influence resource behavior. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, that capability maps directly to the stated technical requirement. Conversely, a shared unallocated bill would hide which teams drive cost. Question 14. A proposed design for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform will be approved only if it can regularly prove that protected data can be recovered. Which recovery operation satisfies that condition? Option A, incremental backup. Option B, cross-region replication. Option C, immutable backup. Option D, restore testing. The correct answer is option D, restore testing. A completed backup job does not guarantee usability, so controlled restoration validates media, permissions, and procedures. For the laboratory data platform, the governing factor is the requested behavior, and this approach provides it directly. The main risk of choosing a different approach is that assuming success from job status alone could leave an undiscovered recovery failure. Question 15. The current proposal for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform has a drawback: manual calendar reliance can miss short-lived or numerous certificates. The team still needs to replace expiring certificates before service interruption. Which operational practice should replace the proposal? Option A, a certificate renewal automation. Option B, change record. Option C, runbook. Option D, key rotation procedure. The correct answer is option A, certificate renewal automation. Automated tracking and renewal reduce outages caused by overlooked expiration dates. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, that capability maps directly to the stated technical requirement. Other options may be useful elsewhere, yet they do not provide the capability emphasized by this scenario. Question 16. Engineers reviewing Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform describe the intended behavior as follows: workload minus specific identity supports scope permissions and auditing without using an employee account. Which identity control does this description identify? Option A, access review. Option B, attribute minus based access control. Option C, service account. Option D, single sign minus on. The correct answer is option C, service account. The described behavior supports the requirement to provide a non-human identity for an automated workload. Applied within Frontier Labs' environment, the approach resolves the central constraint without expanding the solution beyond its purpose. The nearby alternatives are less suitable because shared personal credentials would weaken accountability and continuity. Question 17. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, the team must protect stored data against unauthorized media or storage access. It also wants to avoid a design where transport protection ends when the data reaches storage. Which protection control offers the most appropriate balance? Option A, customer minus managed key. Option B, key rotation. Option C, encryption at rest. Option D, secrets manager. The correct answer is option C, encryption at rest. Storage minus layer cryptography reduces exposure if disks, snapshots, or underlying media are accessed improperly. The requirement is satisfied by matching the cloud capability to the laboratory data platform's stated operating condition. Other options may be useful elsewhere, yet they do not provide the capability emphasized by this scenario. Question 18. Architects supporting Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform need the solution to reach a managed service through an internal provider network address. Which network security control should they choose? Option A, distributed denial minus service protection. Option B, private endpoint. Option C, intrusion prevention system. Option D is zero trust access. The correct answer is option B, private endpoint. Private service access avoids public exposure and supports tighter routing and policy controls. Applied within Frontier Labs' environment, the approach resolves the central constraint without expanding the solution beyond its purpose. The nearby alternatives are less suitable because an internet-facing endpoint would create unnecessary reachability. Stressed about your CompTIA exam? We can take CompTIA exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 19. The current proposal for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform has a drawback: manual review alone may be slow and inconsistent at cloud scale. The team still needs to express governance rules in machine-enforceable definitions. Which governance control should replace the proposal? Option A, policy as code. Option B, a data loss prevention. Option C, data classification. Option D, legal hold. The correct answer is option A, policy as code. Automated evaluation catches prohibited configurations consistently during deployment and operation. This approach gives Frontier Labs the required behavior while keeping the implementation aligned with the workload's actual demand. The distractors are legitimate cloud techniques, but they address different requirements from the one being tested. Question 20. A production-readiness review for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform requires the team to correlate security events from many sources in one analytical platform. Which security response belongs in the plan? Option A, root-cause remediation. Option B, incident containment. Option C, security information and event management. Option D, a threat intelligence integration. The correct answer is option C, security information and event management. Central correlation can reveal multi-stage activity that isolated logs do not show clearly. The choice is appropriate for Frontier Labs because it acts on the requirement identified in the scenario, not merely on a related concern. The nearby alternatives are less suitable because reviewing each system independently would slow detection. Question 21. For Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, the team must store version build outputs used by later deployment stages. It also wants to avoid a design where copying files from developer workstations would weaken traceability. Which DevOps practice offers the most appropriate balance? Option A, pipeline approval gate. Option B, artifact repository. Option C, feature branch. Option D, a continuous integration. The correct answer is option B, artifact repository. A controlled repository makes releases reproducible and avoids rebuilding different binaries for each environment. The proposed use aligns with the workload constraint and supports a defensible vendor-neutral cloud decision. The distractors are legitimate cloud techniques, but they address different requirements from the one being tested. Question 22. The current proposal for Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform has a drawback: manual console changes are difficult to reproduce and audit. The team still needs to define the desired resource state in version-controlled files. Which automation practice should replace the proposal? Option A, a configuration management. Option B, API-driven automation. Option C, secrets injection. Option D, declarative infrastructure as code. The correct answer is option D, declarative infrastructure as code. Desired -state automation supports repeatability, review, and consistent reconciliation across environments. The choice is appropriate for Frontier Labs because it acts on the requirement identified in the scenario, not merely on a related concern. A nearby concept would leave the central requirement unresolved even though it could improve another part of the environment. Question 23. Users report a problem with Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform. The team needs to evaluate subnet-level stateless filtering in both directions. After confirming the scope, which troubleshooting action should be performed next? Option A, validate load-balancer health checks. Option B, check address exhaustion. Option C, inspect network access-control rules. Option D, verify effective routes. The correct answer is option C, inspect network access-control rules. Stateless controls require explicit inbound and outbound allowance, including return traffic as applicable. The proposed use aligns with the workload constraint and supports a defensible vendor-neutral cloud decision. By contrast, checking only a stateful resource rule could miss the subnet policy. Question 24. Users report a problem with Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform. The team needs to determine whether provider limits are blocking resource creation or throughput. After confirming the scope, which diagnostic action should be performed next? Option A, check service quota. Option B, compare with performance baseline. Option C, check memory pressure. Option D, review autoscaling policy. The correct answer is option A, check service quota. Account and regional quotas can cause failures even when the template and permissions are valid. The scenario calls for this capability because the laboratory data platform depends on the specified behavior rather than a general cloud feature. A different choice would be weaker because retrying unchanged requests will continue to hit the limit. Question 25. While diagnosing Frontier Labs' laboratory data platform, an administrator must confirm that the token, secret, or certificate remains valid. Which corrective action should be used next? Option A. Examine pipeline logs. Option B. Verify secrets retrieval permission. Option C. Check credential expiration. Option D. Validate template syntax. The correct answer is option C. Check credential expiration. Expired authentication material commonly causes sudden access failures without any resource configuration change. The proposed use aligns with the workload constraint and supports a defensible vendor-neutral cloud decision. By contrast, adding permissions would not renew invalid credentials.